Welcome to the Tangent Podcast. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I don't know why I thought you were talking to the audience at first there.
Well, maybe I was. Maybe I was. How are you doing, audience?
Crap, I'm sorry. Audience, I hope you are well.
Hey, did you get some more ink there?
Ink.
On your
this?
arm? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how new it's been like 6 months
that's
or something.
that's sick, man. That's cool.
I don't know how to show this well. It's Majora's Mask.
Very nice.
From The Legend of Zelda. Heck yeah, dude. All about it. You know me. How are you?
I'm good. Life is good right now, and just rip-roaring to get podcasting today.
That's what we like to hear. What is on the agenda today, good Austin?
Well, the first is a drink that has intrigued me for a long time, I must say. Celsius Live Fit. And the flavor, I know we couldn't coordinate the flavors today, but I have
I got it.
Oh, you got sparkling orange? Okay.
I got sparkling orange as well.
I just want to know the difference. So this says essential energy, accelerates metabolism, and burns body fat. What's the difference between essential and non-essential energy? I don't know.
That's a good question.
It is a small can compared to other beverages,
it's Red Bull sized.
Yep. But it was cheaper too, so that's good. 0 sugar. And
supposedly it is a healthy version.
Yep. It's got 7 essential vitamins, and it says proven in 6 published university studies. I don't know why they had to prove vitamins in a study, but it also says in 2005, vitamin industry entrepreneurs created Celsius. How does it work? Celsius proprietary Meta Plus formula, including green tea with EGCG, ginger, and guarana seed, turns on thermogenesis, a process that boosts your body's metabolic rate. I feel like they threw a lot of made-up words in there to make it sound cool.
Big words.
Thermogenesis and Meta Plus.
And metabolic. I know that one actually, but still.
Vitamins.
They're just trying to confuse us. Green. What are these big words?
Seed. Drinking Celsius prior to fitness activities is proven to energize, accelerate metabolism, burn body fat, and calories. Celsius provides essential energy to live fit.
Lovely. Your ultimate fitness partner. They trademarked that.
This company is based in Boca Raton, Florida. I always thought that name was funny because it literally means mouth rat. Rat, Florida. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep. Boca is mouth and rat is rat. Raton is rat.
In Spanish,
mouth rat, Florida. Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to give this bad boy a little drinky drink here. A little drinky poo.
All righty. Let's see what we got here.
Oh, it smells.
Okay. As an energy drink, it's not good. As a healthy energy drink, it's not bad.
Dude, I can't get over the smell. For some reason, it smells like canned dog food. Maybe that's just the top of my can. I
think you got a bad can, my guy.
Oh.
It's not great, though.
It definitely has the vitamin taste to it.
I can tell they tried to make it healthy.
Yeah, I don't love that. But for a natural one, not bad. Better than the other natural ones that I've tried.
Oh, dude. We've had some that tasted like you were drinking grass blended up. So
I don't think I'm going to drink the rest of that. That's not good.
It's not great. No, you're right. Clinically proven.
Clinically, I want to know what that means, though. Clinically proven to what? That it's got vitamins in it, or...
Right next to clinically proven, it doesn't say anything like... It says 0 sugar. I don't think that needs to be clinically proven.
Right.
What if this is clinically proven? Also, Celsius was just in a lawsuit.
Really? For what?
At the top, it says no preservatives, but apparently there are preservatives.
Huh.
So, Yeah, when I googled it today, it was just like I googled Celsius and it was just like Celsius lawsuit, and I was like, oh crap, I don't know if I want to be drinking this. But then I read it, and was like, oh, that's not that big.
I would give that like a 3 out of 10. Honestly, I do not like it.
I'm going 4.5. Yeah, it's not great.
It is among the birthday cake bash for worst drinks we've had so far.
There will never be a worse.
This one's pretty bad. I don't like it.
Great. Yeah.
I do wonder if there, because it's sparkling orange. Sparkling anything is never great. And so I do wonder if their other flavors would be better.
Maybe.
But yeah.
How much caffeine is this? 200 milligrams? Holy crap. Are you
serious?
That's more than a Monster, and it's half the size.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Jeez. All right.
Okay, well, I'm just going to put that to the side.
That's fair.
We will continue here. I do have a bit of space news for you. This one's fun, whimsical even. The headline says, a NASA spacecraft discovers a formation on Mars resembling a bear. Isn't that fun?
Ooh, that is fun. I will
even show a picture here. A nice bear. It looks like the bear that my daughter drew, and she is 4. But yeah, it looks like a bear. And it was discovered just recently from the University of Arizona, shared the picture. And they say the nose is formed by a V-shaped collapse structure that was once a hill, and there's a fracture pattern around the head. So they do say that it may be an impact crater of some sort that has kind of settled into the shape of a bear. It could be a volcano. They don't know, but yeah, kind of some cool imagery there. I think it's weird to think about a volcano on the moon. I think we would have probably seen an explosion on the moon at some point of lava, but
I thought we were talking about Mars.
Oh, Mars. Yeah, I don't know why I went to the moon. Sorry, Mars. Yes.
It's because the picture is in black and white, so it looks like the moon.
I was thinking the moon, but Mars. So yeah, volcano on Mars. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, kind of fun. Similar to the man's face they found on there too.
Oh man, that image puts dread in my body for some reason. Really? I don't know why.
This one? Let me pull it up.
The face on Mars or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I can't see your screen.
Oh, it's the classic one where it looks like almost like a hockey mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
dude, I don't know why.
And mapped it out and used LiDAR and been like, yeah, it's real. Like it's an actual face of a giant. I'm like, shut up.
Anyway.
Yeah, that is the space news for the day. What do you have for us, Jack?
Oh boy, I have us a spooky story. Just a small little spooky story before we get into the old big part of this episode. You
Very
know
fun.
Us. We like to do paranormal encounters. Oh, actually, before we get into that, I was going to tell people about on our website. We now have an option for to send a voice message to us. So if you have like a paranormal story or something like that you want to share, if you go to it's anchor.fm/tangent podcast, we put it in every show note, so you don't have to worry about that. There's a button that says message. Click on it, and honestly, I don't know if you could type in it because every time I try, it says you can't send a message to yourself, which makes me sad.
I'll go incognito and I'll try it.
Yeah.
Message.
But I know you can send voice messages. So
yeah,
that'd be kind of cool if you want to send in like your own story and we can play it on the podcast. Or if you don't want, that we can just read it out for you kind of thing. But definitely use that.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely want to hear your stories. We'll play it there. You can be anonymous or you can leave your name. Also, next to that message button is the support button. We are looking into doing some kind of extra kind of Patreon-ish material for you guys, and you can do either a one-time donation there, or you can join when we get this extra content out, that we would release content to you for, a certain price every month. And you guys can support your boys that way too. So we appreciate all the support you guys give us anyway, but every little bit is appreciated.
Of course it is. And even just listening, we still appreciate you.
Yep.
And we know everyone's not in a place to donate. All right. As for the story, this one's kind of creepy. You ready for the title of this one?
Ooh, yeah.
The Boy with No Eyes. Terrifying. All right. Goes as follows. One night, when I was 10, I was woken up by my bedroom door opening, followed by someone sitting on my bed. I felt my leg grazed and the bed sink under a person's weight. It's just Mom, I thought, and I opened my eyes. It was not my mom. I found an eyeless boy. He had black, empty sockets, about my age, sitting at the foot of my bed. He extended his hand, and in it was a little box. I was startled, but reached out. He pulled back. I reached again and said, "Give it." Then I blinked, and when I reopened my eyes, he was gone. But I could still see the imprint of where he sat on my bed. Fast forward 5 years, my girlfriend came over to do homework. As she finished, she took a nap while she waited for her parents. When they arrived, I tried waking her up. She opened her eyes suddenly, looking up at the corner where the wall met the ceiling. She pointed there and went back to sleep. I shook her again. She came to full consciousness, and I explained what she had just done. She looked haunted. Up on the wall, I saw a little boy with no eyes. He was there in a Spider-Man pose, just staring at me. I freaked out and told her the story about the same kid. Fast forward another 5 years. I was with the same girlfriend. We had a 2-year-old. We were living in my parents' house, in my old room. My daughter started waking up at the same time every night, and she'd talk. After a while, I noticed she had almost the same conversation every night. I playfully asked her once whom she was talking to. She said, "It's a little boy. He's nice. He's lost and looking for his mommy." My daughter's nightly conversations continued until we got our own place a year later. That's the end of the story.
Ugh, I don't like that.
No,
I don't like
no,
that
sir.
at all. Kids are creepy enough, but when you take away their eyeballs, something about
yeah,
eyes,
seriously.
like white eyes, black eyes, no eyes, like eyes are shifty, man. They're, ugh.
Heck, like even in movies when you see someone like with a scarred eye and it's like super cloudy kind of thing, and also just like, ugh, that's disturbing to me for some reason.
It's funny you say that because the movie Casino Royale, I remember seeing that when I was I was probably like 12 or 13, and the main villain from that like has a weird eye, and it always creeped me out super bad. That's a good story though.
A little terrifying, but what can you do? What can you do? Move. That's what you can do in that situation.
They did. They did move like a year later, right?
Yeah, good for them. Good for them. Because that sounds horrifying.
Yeah, not fun.
Okay,
not
first of all, actually, the person who had this story, the balls on this person, to when they reached out and he tried to grab something from him, and then the boy pulled away. And then he reached out his hand and goes, "Give it to this kid with no eyes." He's demanding this kid with no eyes that appeared in his bedroom. He's commanding him to give him whatever is in his hand. It's just like, dude, you don't mess with that thing. Like, but, good for you, I guess, to stand up for yourself.
Anyway,
what is our main topic of today?
Well, this is one that I've always been interested in, but never known a lot about. So doing research for this one was fun. It is about an Easter island and the RongoRongo tablet that was found there. So, for those of you who have never heard of Easter Island or don't really know what it is an island named after the holiday of Easter.
Is it really?
Yes. And it is part of Chile, so it's a special territory of Chile. It's in kind of the South Pacific. It's kind of crazy because it's nearest like other landmass that's populated that has like 50 people is like 1,200 miles away. And then the biggest... So, yeah, it's like 50 people that live there. And then the biggest landmass that has over 500 people is like 1,800 miles away. And then the biggest continental mass that's closest to it is Chile, which is like over 2,000 miles away. So it is out there. It's one of the most remotely populated places in the world. And there are reports that the population has ranged between about 5,000 to 7,500 over the past like 5 years. So there's quite a few people that live there. And the island is just over about 60 miles square. And so it's not a huge island. Like it's not 60 miles square, like 60 miles from side to side. So it's 63.2 square miles. So it is square, but it's a tiny island, and it's literally out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing else really around it. It's east or west of Chile, so kind of between Chile and Australia. But it's closer to Chile than it is to Australia.
Not by much, though. It is out there.
It is.
Like, yeah, I did not know that. I thought it was like 10, 20 miles offshore or whatever.
No,
it
is out
yesterday.
It is out
I was
there.
like, oh my gosh. Like, and there's nothing within like 3-hour flight even of it.
Right. And that's why it's such like a legend of an island. Like that's why it's such a popular place, because not only like the location, but kind of the history of what's gone on there. So we'll get into that a little bit. But the reason it was called Easter Island was because in the 1700s, there was a Dutch explorer named Jacob Roggeveen. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, but he found it in 1722. They were on a journey looking for Terra Australis, which at the time was supposed to be this big mysterious island kind of at the south end of the world. And so Terra Australis is what they were looking for. They come along this island and they came across it on Easter Sunday in 1722, which was April 5th. And so they find it, they name it Easter Island. And when they get to the island, there were like tons of people waiting for them there. So they kind of encountered all these people there. And the current name, Polynesian name for it is Rapa Nui, which means Big Rapa. I don't know what, I think Rapa may be just be island. But Rapa Nui is the name of both the island, and then also the people that live there are also named the Rapa Nui people. And this was actually a term that came about after some of the slave raids that happened in the 1860s. So some of the Latin American countries, specifically Peru, would do slave raids on these islands to go get slaves. And so they went to Rapa Nui or Easter Island and took some slaves. And somehow in that whole process, the name Rapa Nui came to the island, and that's what it's known by now. So that's the local name. There's some differing opinions on when the island was officially like colonized and settled, but it is a Polynesian island. So the theory is that the Polynesian settlers first inhabited it anywhere from the year 300 AD to the year 800 AD. And then some closer studies actually say that their arrival to the island happened closer to the year 1200 AD. So there's a lot of differing opinions there. Carbon dating has placed it closer to that 8 to 1200 range, but who knows how accurate carbon dating really is. So it's hard to say. You know, I think weather, climate, things like that can have a great effect. Even human interaction in a place where there's organic matter can have an effect on how it's decaying. And so it may be hard to say, but somewhere within that 8 to 1200 range is the general consensus of when it was inhabited. And so they think that it was inhabited around the same time as Hawaii as well, like the same group of Polynesian settlers that inhabited Hawaii around the same time came here. So They were annexed by Chile in 1888, and then in 1966, all of the population there were actually granted Chilean citizenship. So it's kind of like Puerto Rico to the U.S., I guess. It's like a special territory or special province. All right. So again, they gained citizenship in the 1960s, and history of how the island came to be settled, I guess, was one of the legends was that there were some Polynesian chiefs that were kind of fighting with each other. And so one of the chiefs, his name was Hotu Matua, and he had a captain named Tu Ko'iho, and they led an expedition that was 2 canoes big. So I don't know how big their canoes were. I've rode in some pretty big like Indian canoes before, but 2 canoes worth of Polynesians left their island that at the time was the Cook Islands, which I believe is somewhere near kind of Samoa, Polynesian Islands, like kind of the South Pacific area. And so there was this legend of this island out there in the middle of nowhere. So they were kind of looking for it, and they had left because they had lost a bunch of battles against this other chief on their island. And so they decided to flee. And so they come to the island. They found one lone settler, and his name was Nga Tavake A Terona. I'm sure I'm butchering that. But so they come to the island. They settle on the beach. The first settlement there was named Anakena. And then after they settled at Anakena, they kind of started to split off, but not many people stayed there because they found that it wasn't a super habitable island, or at least at the time, that's the theory, because when the Europeans came, 1,000 years later in the 1800s, they initially came upon the island and thought that it was just sandy. But when they got there, it was just like yellow grass. There wasn't really many trees. There wasn't like really anything. Like the soil wasn't that fertile. You couldn't grow food. And also there's like not a reef there. So they couldn't really fish. Like there wasn't a large like marine food source there either at the time that the Europeans got there. So I don't know what it was like when the Polynesians got there around 8 to 1200. But they did start to kind of branch out and settle. And one of the legends is that one of the chiefs or one of the settlers that first went there had 7 sons. And the sons were giants. So he had 7 giant sons, and he brought them to the island. And that's where they got the inspiration to make the big statues, or the Easter Island heads, which are commonly known as Moai. And so there's this theory came about because of the legend, but then also there's 7 distinct Moai statues there on the island that kind of face the direction of the Polynesian islands. And so they say that those are the 7 sons of this chief that went there. And the 7 sons are the ones who brought the statues to the islands, and they say that they caused them to walk. So in their belief, the statues were like real and were able to walk, or in some way that these sons were able to move them around and create them, and they had some kind of essence or life force to them, which I think is pretty cool. But that is really why people go to Easter Island, because it is a pretty hot tourist zone, is because of these massive statues. I'm sure people have seen them. I'll share a picture here real quick.
Wait, so they were not carved on this island? They were brought to the island? Is that what you said?
Well, so that was the legend, or at least they said that the sons, made the stones walk, and they brought them to the island and made them walk. But I believe that they were carved on the island. Like, that's just a legend. But this is what they look like. So let me share my screen. I'm trying to. Let's see.
If you've seen Night at the Museum, it's big dum gum guy. Yeah, that's an Easter Island head.
Can you see?
Yeah.
This. Okay. So basically, the guys behind me on my screen, those are the Easter Island heads. So there's over 1,000 of them on the island, which I didn't know. I thought there was like 10, like I thought there was like 10 to 20, like very, very few of them, but there's over 1,000 currently on the island. Some of them are massive. Like, jeez. I think the biggest one is over 70 feet tall. And they said that one would have taken a group of 12 people about over a year to carve. How they moved them around, I have no idea, because it does appear that obviously those stones weren't just there, like they've been moved around, but also It's commonly only seen that we see the heads of them, but a lot of them have like full bodies too. So that's kind of the statue behind me. Like they show these comical bodies on them, but a lot of them have bodies that are buried in the ground, or some of them even have bodies that are showing. Like you can see the shoulders on a lot of them. And then on some of them, you can even see like a full torso. So this is one of the biggest mysteries of Easter Island, is how the heck did they carve these things? Because they're pretty well carved. And
oh yeah,
like they're huge, they're massive. So first of all, how did they carve them? They're made out of like a volcanic rock, because there is a big volcano on the island. So they're made out of this volcanic rock, but how did this ancient civilization carve them and then move them around? So I think that's pretty cool. A lot of theories on how they moved them, like kind of similar to the pyramids, where they either used like logs to roll them across the ground, or they somehow used water to traffic them across the island, something like that. But yeah, there's over 1,000 of them. So obviously some culture went nuts carving these and putting them around the island. So why they're there, there's a lot of differing opinions on that as well. Some people say that they're kind of like a deity to them, to the culture. Other people say like, oh, it signifies their ancestors or something like that. But it is. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to give a little context that I'm looking at these, and it just says on average they're 4 meters high, which is a little over 13 feet tall. Pretty big. And on average weigh in at 12.5 tons. So that's average, by the way. The tallest finished one was 10 meters high. That's really big. Let's see. Let's get an exact measurement. So 10 meters is 32.8 feet. That's huge. And it weighed 82 tons. And then it says here, the biggest unfinished one would have been 21 meters tall, which is 70 feet.
Yep. And so that one is named
El
Gigante.
And it would have weighed 270 tons.
Yeah.
So these, like, that's why there's a mystery around them. Not only are they, like, really cool and whatever, but, like, how did they freaking move these things? They're 15 feet tall and over 12 tons.
Right. And, like, that's the crazy thing is, first of all, like, how did they make them? Second of all, why did they make them? Like, why did they feel like they had to make these huge statues? Now, the reason they believe that the Polynesians inhabited the island is because, one, they brought what's called the Polynesian rat, and that led to kind of the deforestation and killing off of a lot of the local animals there. And then obviously they kind of deforested, so there's no trees now. But then they also believe that it was Polynesians because these statues are similar to some of the statues that you see on other Polynesian cultures, or not really statues, but like shrines or like sacred sites. And so that they kind of can tie it to the Polynesians that way. But
yeah,
the
statues, they kind of tiki-esque.
Yeah.
Like they kind of feel tiki-esque, you know, Hawaiian kind of thing. So I could see that. I mean, not exactly, but I could definitely see the correlation if they were.
The crazy thing, though, is that people have tried to recreate these today, and it's almost impossible for them to do it to the level that these were done. Like, it's really, really hard to move a piece of stone that big, that heavy, and carve it out that large of a feature. So it really is like a feat of engineering, and no one really knows exactly how it was done. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. They're pretty minimalist. Like there's not a lot to them, but yeah,
it does say here that most of them were carved in the inland quarries and then moved outward towards the coast, often more than many kilometers away.
Right.
And a mile or two, that's a long way to move 12 tons.
Yeah, right. And one thing that's been recently discovered is, like, a lot of times you see these and it's just like black rock, but they've recently discovered that a lot of them actually have or had eyes painted on them. Like they have eye sockets that are carved into them. And then they have eyes that were painted on there, and they believe that white coral was used to paint the eyes, and then they had red pupils that were painted by another either local plant dye or other rock type that was red. And so they have these like really piercing eyes to them. And they evidence that because they found a lot of pieces of white coral like around the statues, and then they found these eye sockets. And so it was kind of weird. Like, you couldn't really tell unless you used special equipment to like really look at the surface and tell the deviations in the surface to tell that there were eye sockets, because the stone is so dark and like hard to see the variations in the surface. And so they finally had some archaeologists, I believe it was like the 70s or the 80s, that discovered those eye sockets and then found the coral and kind of hypothesized that they used that to make the eyes. And a lot of people believe that they were built for like religious or political authority or power type things, kind of a symbol of authority. And a lot of people believe it was a respect thing to sacred spirits or to deities, ancestors, things like that. And so who knows why they're there? Like, no one really knows. You know, it's one of the biggest mysteries and something I've always been interested in. But then there's another mystery, another big mystery as well. So along with these huge statues, there was a tablet that was found on the island that's called RongoRongo or Ngorongoro. And I'm probably butchering that. Ngorongoro. Don't ask me to say that. Don't ask me to say it again. But it's like this tablet that has a bunch of glyphs on it, and it was discovered in the early 1800s on the island. And it appears to be some system of writing, right? And tons of people have tried to decipher it, but no one's really been successful at it. And one of the reasons for that is there is a Rapa Nui language that's still spoken among the natives today. It's not similar to this, but only an eighth of the population currently living is fluent in that language alone. So like they have some descendant language, you know, that's written on this RongoRongo that's different, but I mean similar enough that they can tie it back somehow to these glyphs, but only an eighth of the people today even speak that fluently. So it's like terribly hard to decipher, and yeah, no one's ever really been able to do it. And none of the glyphs can actually be read or interpreted. And so it seems that it's not really identifiable or tied to any other living language or any language that we've been able to decipher. Yeah, so they have this tablet. It's size-wise, I'm actually not sure like how big it is. I would imagine that it would be holdable in your hands from what it looks like, but it's made out of wood. So it's made out of, what's the wood? I just had it up here. Pacific rosewood is what it's called. And so it's carved into Pacific rosewood. And it's believed that these tablets were sacred. Like, part of the history of the Rapa Nui surrounding these like sacred writings is that only a small amount of the population that was considered the elite part of the population was ever literate and able to read them or able to like use them for things. And so they hold this sacred or elitist status in that culture. Even today still, like they have that same history. But they have found other tablets in the area that they've been able to decipher that aren't really related to this language, but those are all just like pieces of irregular driftwood or whatever. But this one, especially because no one's ever been able to decipher it. And then that wood, they don't really have trees on that island anymore. And from what I understood, that's not like a native wood to the island. So either it was something that was brought there, or at the time that it was written, a long time ago, the island was forested and they were able to get that wood, but they don't really know where it came from. And so some of the glyphs, like they're carved into this wood, and some of them are kind of like a human outline. Some of them have animal or plant like forms to them, geometric forms. But they can't really tell what those mean. And so they've never really been able to say for certain, oh, this glyph is this human or this animal or this plant shape, but they can say, oh, it resembles this kind of stuff. And then
yeah, like this is weird. It almost looks like aliens or something.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the theories too. Like a lot of the other glyphs in the area that they found contain pictures of like little stick figure looking people. that look like a typical like gray alien or something like that, like a short humanoid type figure. But yeah, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. It almost looks like Hebrew mixed with like little kid drawings mixed with,
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like it's strange. It doesn't look like any other thing I've ever seen. But I can see where they're getting some like animal and plant type shapes.
Yeah. Some of them look kind of like a fish. But, like, that's the problem. Is like 7 or 8 of them look like fish. So, I mean, they can't all mean fish, right? I don't know. That one kind of looks like the devil holding a club.
There is
that guy's holding a surfboard. I like, what on earth could this possibly mean? It might just be doodles. I think they're just some guy's doodles.
Dude, I bet you the ancient people were like, we're just going to leave all this nonsense here for people to find later, and then we're just going to peace out from the island for years, and no one will ever know what happened, and it'll be a big joke. But, so it is cool, though. Like, I think it's fascinating that no one's been able to decipher it, because it could contain this crazy hidden language or something, or like secrets to something so cool.
Treasure underneath the island, something crazy.
Yeah, maybe. Like, it reminds me of National Treasure, the second one, when they have that like tablet that they have to figure out to find the city of gold or whatever. Like, that's kind of what it reminds me of. But the reading of it is kind of weird. So they've been able to determine somehow that the way that you read it is you start in the bottom left-hand corner. I guess by the way, the shapes, like, they can identify common shapes throughout it, and the orientation of them shows that, because it is oriented in lines, like it's got lines on it, and you can even see on the wood itself there's like some lines that go through it, and it actually looks a lot like other things they found where they wrote on banana leaves, and then those banana leaves like left the imprint of the lines on the leaves in this tablet. So it's kind of weird, but the way that you read it would be you'd start in that bottom left-hand corner, and you'd read left to right, and then when you get to the end of that line, you actually flip the tablet 180 degrees, and then you start on the left side of the next line up, and then you read, and then when you get to the end there, you flip it, and you flip it every line until you're done reading it. So it's weird, but yeah, that's how they hypothesize that you would read it.
That's got a name, apparently. It's called reversed Boustrophodon. That's the direction you read it. Boustrophodon? I don't know. It's a style of writing in which alternate lines of writing are reversed with letters also written in reverse mirror style. So it's reverse writing is what I'm understanding from this.
Yeah. So every time that you flip it, basically everything around it is upside down, which maybe that would help me, because when I'm reading a book, I have a hard time not like reading ahead or like reading behind and like mixing myself up. So maybe that would help. I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like, I've never seen anything like that before, and it is interesting that they have a name for it. I never knew that was a thing, but
I'm just on the Wikipedia page for it, and on the right side where it gives like little quick stuff, it's like script type, undeciphered, time period, time of creation is unknown, writing ceased, and most tablet lost or destroyed in this 1860s. Direction read is reversed Boustrophodon, and language is assumed to be Rapa Nui.
Yeah, so the original Rapa Nui, obviously it's changed a lot and it's still spoken, but definitely these symbols and things have died out for sure. But I'll post a picture. There's a little picture of some of the like interpretations of a lot of the things on here. Like, one of them they say looks like a caterpillar, and one looks like a squid, and then a circle and palm tree. So
interesting. Did you already say this or know about this? But it says RongoRongo is the modern name for the inscriptions. In the Rapa Nui language, it means to recite, to declaim, and to chant out.
Yep. So Rongo, if I remember right, Rongo means like to listen, to hear, to pay attention, to respect. And then RongoRongo, means exactly what you said. So it is interesting. And the word Rongo is actually used in a lot of like Asian and Polynesian cultures still. I remember specifically in the Philippines. So let me look this up real quick to make sure I'm I'm giving this right, but it means peace. Yeah, so peace. It can be kind of like peace, euphoria, respect, love, things like that. And then when you combine them, it takes on that meaning of what you said, of to declare or to speak, things like that. So it's interesting. And in a lot of languages, it's a word that you would use daily. Like over in the Philippines, they said that's something that you would say daily in conversation a lot. So it's tied to some other languages in just the name of it, but the actual glyphs are completely original. Or at least we haven't yet found anything.
It says here that people may, like that tribe or whoever they were, may have been able to read without turning it, as if the reader were able to read upside down. So they, like, apparently there would be no upside down to them. Like, they could read it no matter which way it was turned. They knew that glyph regardless.
I mean, that makes sense because, like,
yeah,
you can kind of read upside down in English. I feel like if you see words, you can tell what they are upside down. Not as quickly, but excuse me. But yeah, so they haven't really been able to age the tablets yet, but they do hypothesize. They've done topology of the surface, and they've hypothesized that they've been carved with either obsidian, pieces of obsidian, or shark teeth. And they've been able to tell that by the way that the glyphs are connected with different lines. So they say, like, these chevron patterns, every time that the chevron is inscribed, it's connected to the next one with like a really thin hairline. And they say that somehow that is a sign that they either used an obsidian piece or some other specific tool to write in that way. How they figured that out, I have no idea, but
yeah, seriously,
I'm guessing they've determined that from other glyphs that they found around the world. But yeah, it is hard to date because they don't have a lot of organic material on the tablet to date. Like, there's nothing really to date on it. Carbon dating really only works with organic material. It doesn't work with rock. It doesn't, unless there's like moss on the rock or some kind of plant. They can't really tell how rock is decaying. It's just the carbon in like organic matter. And so it's hard to date it. But I mean, looking at pictures of it, like, it has withstood the test of time. Like, it still, it still is completely together. It doesn't look like too beaten up. The glyphs are clearly readable, and I'm guessing that they may have done some restoration on it or
probably
something, but like the color of it is still really rich and vibrant, and
dude,
like it's,
you know
it's fascinating.
How many there are? Like, how many like slabs they found with this type of stuff on it?
With this type specifically, I don't know. This specific RongoRongo one is unique to this tablet, but they have found other tablets made out of like driftwood or whatever. So they say here
there's like 20 or something.
Yeah, they letter them. So there's like some of them have patterns, like the writing patterns on glyphs B, E, G, H, O, Q, and T are all the same. And then they've got so I think they letter them. I don't know exactly how many there are, but there are a lot of them that they found. This one though is unique. So kind of cool, and who knows like what it's holding, you know. I find this kind of stuff fascinating, and even when we can decipher stuff like this, I'm like, how do we even know? Like, they could be something totally different, but this one, no one has a clue, and they can guess, but no one even knows. And without being able to date it, who knows if it originated on Easter Island or if the settlers brought it with them. So I'm just fascinated to see, like, there's not a lot that's known about the culture or the history of the Polynesians on Easter Island up to the European intervention. And so, like, maybe it contains secrets about the big Moai statues, you know, maybe it contains information about how they settled there and like how they lived and kind of their early culture. But yeah, it's impossible right now to know. And it's pure speculation, but to me, that's like the fascinating part about it, is that it's an unsolved mystery, and it's kind of fun to just like theorize and hypothesize about it.
Yeah, geez, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I have a much greater fascination with Easter Island now than I did before after doing this research. Oh, I'd love to go
I like
there.
mysteries that aren't scary, so this is a good one.
See, there's a couple things that I want to do. I want to go into the pyramids and like go to Egypt because ancient Egypt is fascinating to me. And then I would love to go to Easter Island, and then I want to go to like Göbekli Tepe.
Oh, jeez,
And
yeah.
I just want to go to ancient civilizations and see stuff. It'd be so cool.
Sick.
Yeah, that is Easter Island. And if you guys have any more information on it, let us know. Oh, one word of advice: if you go there, don't touch the statues. There was a guy that was fined $17,000 for touching one, so it is illegal to touch them. Don't do it.
$17,000.
$17,000 for touching it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even I'm not upset about that because this is history. You cannot mess this up. Like anything could, if you topple these, that's a part of history that's gone. So right. I am full in force of the largest possible punishment for messing with these, but that's just more than I was expecting.
Well, here's the thing. Ancient humans built stuff that lasted the test of time. We don't. And so like a lot of these statues are already toppled over. Like there's 1,000 of them. Some of them have fallen. They've sunken into the ground. Like don't touch them because we ruined stuff and ancient people didn't. Yep. So just leave them be.
We want to keep these around forever.
Let the statues hold their secrets. But yeah, kind of cool. I'm really fascinated by it. And I would love someday to know what the statues and the tablet mean. That's like, I have this list of things I want to find out in the afterlife when my mind is opened and I get all this intense knowledge of things. Aliens, the Easter Island stuff, and ancient Egypt stuff. That's what I want to know.
I looked up some plane tickets from Salt Lake City to Easter Island just to see. It's going to cost you a cool $4,000 about. Just an FYI. So
is there even an airport there? Or
there is?
Oh wow, okay. Holy cow.
It's the IPC. I don't know what that stands for, but
that's literally 25 plus hours of flying. Like
oh my word.
You've got connecting
this
flights.
One says 1 day and 11 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. And then if you fly Delta, you can spend 11 grand if you want. And that takes it down to 23 hours and 3 minutes. Yeah. So you're paying more than double, almost triple for 11 less hours there. But
jeez.
Let's see. Podcast trip. If we get enough money someday, maybe we'll go there.
Yes. Start subscribing now.
Well, let us know what you guys think. And if you've ever been there or you have any other information, let us know, because there's a lot that I didn't go over, right, of kind of the culture and things like that, but I wanted to touch on the more fascinating points of it all. And let us know what else you guys want to hear. If there's any other legends or mysteries you want us to cover, we'd be happy to hear from you about them.
Oh, we would be ecstatic. And again, you can do the voice message on the website. If you're not comfortable with that, totally fine. You can message us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think that's all we have. Email, doesn't matter. Just shoot us a direct message on any of those and we will get it. So yeah, might want to open up maybe I'll open up like a Google form or something that's like a send your ideas here kind of thing.
Yeah, we could just post that to like the show notes or whatever.
Yeah, we'll see. See.
Well, yeah, thank you guys.
Watch the social medias for announcements like that.
Yep. And again, we'll discuss developing some paid exclusive content as well for those of you who want that in the future. But for now, we're going to bring you the best of what we know and love about the mysterious and the conspiracious and the haunted derious. And yeah. Mm-hmm. So thank you again for the support. We love you guys and have a great day.
Have a wonderful